We are back in from the break, folks, on the hottest show on the streets, in my own words, the podcast. Yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama magazine, just talking some National Signing Day for the Crimson Tide. And right now, we got my main man on the phone lines, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama magazine, the host of the show The Process, which is every Tuesday and Thursday. That being one, Justin Smith. Justin, you're live on the show. What's going on, buddy?
Not much, Stephen. Just wrapping up coverage of Alabama's 2020 recruiting class.
And a great recruiting class it was, Justin. Coach Saban and the Crimson Tide signing a class where it hit some needs, where it hit a couple of wants it wanted to get into. Just a class where Saban got and the coaching staff got what it needed to get. Now, for a lot of people out there that look at this class and they say, well, it's not being ranked number one by the numerous of people out there or the numerous of different outlets out there, but when you look at recruiting, Nick Saban is not one for rankings. Nick Saban is not one for evaluations outside of his own or outside of the evaluations that the assistant coaches give the players. He is more so on how do we develop these guys? How can these guys contribute to us? How can we help them? The main thing is how do we go out here and attack the needs that we have at this program? So, for you, when you look at this class, Justin, when you look at this class, Justin, and you talk to different fans out there that probably do not deeply study recruiting, what do you bring up in saying, don't buy into the hype? The class is much more than who's number one or who's in the top five or things of that nature.
I think you have to look at it the same way that Nick Saban approaches the recruiting process, basically looking at what his team needs, basically looking at the positions where Alabama needs to add depth. And in the 2020 recruiting cycle, Alabama knew coming in that they wanted to add depth to positions like the linebacker position. We all seen what a lack of depth at that position did to Alabama this past season. So Alabama wanted to add a couple of inside linebackers into Demore Kennedy and Jackson Bratton, as well as add on a couple of more outside linebackers because Nick Saban knew that he was going to lose Terrell Lewis and Anthony Jennings at the end of the season. So he added on five-star outside linebackers, Chris Broswell, William Anderson, Drew Sanders, and Quindarius Robinson, guys that really could fill those positions. And as Alabama's head coach Nick Saban did say during the early signing period at the press conference after they wrapped up the first national signing day of this recruiting cycle, he did say they like to do things 2 years in ahead. So they're always looking at their roster and breaking down which positions they're going to lack depth at in the future. So Alabama always approaches the recruiting aspect as looking at it as a way to fill position needs, and I think that is what Nick Saban always does. As he always say that he don't really look at stars or rankings, and once he gets a chance to see those rankings by so-and-so website on that national signing day, he's usually surprised. So I think Alabama attacks the recruiting angle just like most top Power 5 programs. Look at what positions on your roster need depth. Look at what position you feel that a specific recruit could fill. Look at a specific recruit's skill set and feel that he can bring a special talent to your particular team. So that's why I think Nick Saban looks at the whole recruiting angle.
We're live here with Justin Smith via the phone line, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama magazine on In My Own Words. Justin, in years past, there was one big signing day. You know this, I know this. It was the first Wednesday in February. Everybody paid attention to that first Wednesday in February because you had folks to flip, you had the chaos, you had the commotion. People looked forward to that one day in February in terms of signing day. Now with the two signing periods, you have 90%, 85 to 90% of the work gets done in December versus the last 5 to 10% of the work gets done in February. And for a lot of fans out there, even though they know it's two different signing periods, you still have some that look at February and go, well, why didn't Alabama get this guy? And this guy was a 4-star and that guy was a 5-star. Why we missed on this guy? Why this guy didn't want to come to Bama? What's going on? Why we're not the #1 class? Could you really dive into the importance of why Nick Saban chooses to communicate more, especially in December, and trying to sign the bulk of guys in that first class? Can you just talk about the importance of the communication in terms of getting the guys you want in that first signing period?
Well, Stephen, I think it all goes back to Alabama's 2018 recruiting class. If most of Alabama fans could just think about that recruiting class, for example, that was the first year that the 2 signing periods were introduced. And during the early signing period, Alabama sort of relaxed, let guys who did not want to sign during the early signing period hold on to the traditional signing period, then push for certain guys during the early signing period because they felt they would be still on the table and Alabama will still have time to recruit them heading into the traditional signing period, which will be in February. But that backfired on Alabama in the 2018 recruiting class, and it hurt Alabama's 2018 recruiting class as a whole in a way. As some of you may know, that recruiting class was ranked as low as number 7 on some recruiting sites after that recruiting class was all said and done. And Alabama tried to do some work late in that class, but that class was still ranked around number 7 or 8 when everything was said and done. And I think Alabama and Nick Saban has most definitely learned from that experience, and they tried to finish most of their 2020 recruiting class and in the recruiting classes from here on out during the early signing period, getting the guys that you want to sign during the month of December, and hopefully getting those guys onto the campus of the University of Alabama in January so they can go through spring training with the team, build some chemistry with Alabama's roster and the guys that's currently on the roster, and basically learn the playbook some. So that's what I think about the 2 signing periods, and I think me and you talked about this very recently. I think the 2 signing periods sort of magnified the traditional signing period, because when you look at both of those signing periods, guys who choose to not sign during the early signing period and hold off their commitment and signature until the traditional signing period, their recruitment is magnified, in my opinion, because only a certain amount of recruits are left, and a lot of teams are pushing for those recruits. For example, McKinley Jackson, that was the number 1 recruit on Alabama's board heading into the traditional signing period. That's where that is the name Alabama fans kept hearing during the month of January. McKinley Jackson, the latest recruiting update on McKinley Jackson. Hey, this is an interview with McKinley Jackson. McKinley Jackson's headed down to Tuscaloosa. Things like that. That's what most Alabama fans have been hearing over the last month. And McKinley Jackson is a special kid. I think he's going to go to Texas A&M and be a special kid. But when you look at Alabama's 2020 recruiting class, this class is pretty strong. Even if Alabama did not land McKinley Jackson, this class still looks to be in a good position. So, in my opinion, I feel that the 2 signing periods magnify the traditional signing period, especially with some of the fans that only follow recruiting loosely and they only look at it during signing day. And the February signing period is the traditional signing period, and it's the only signing period that they may even pay attention to. So when they look at it and they see that Alabama, for example, only landed 3 guys and they lost and missed out on so many other guys, it looks like a bad deal. Oh, it's over with Alabama.
Justin, when you dive into, of course, the Touchdown Alabama magazine at recruiting site that you do a fantastic job of, aside from Bryce Young, who would be one of the diamond guys on TDA's recruiting plug-in? Who was one of the diamond guys, not named Bryce Young, that you are most excited to see get on the field and potentially become something special?
Well, I think the easy answer for me is Drew Sanders. He's a 5-star athlete on Touchdown Alabama's 2020 Alabama commitment list. He does have a 1 diamond rating from Touchdown Alabama as well. I'm excited about Drew Sanders because what's not to be excited about? This is a jumbo athlete, a long, lengthy kid, a kid who has so much experience playing football as his dad is a coach. His dad is the offensive coordinator at his local high school, and he has really grown up learning the game of football. He plays so many different positions so many different positions at in Ryan, Texas, and Denton. By the way, Denton High School, he played inside linebacker, outside linebacker, has experience in lining up wide at the wide receiver position, played some wildcat quarterback. I'm interested in seeing what other ways Alabama plans to use Drew Sanders, not just at the outside linebacker position, which is where he will most likely play coming in and starting to play at Alabama. I'm interested in seeing what other ways that they're going to try to use this kid. If they're lacking on depth at a certain position, Drew Sanders could fit into a mold at a tight end position, possibly at a wide receiver position if Alabama just was really lacking depth at a position. So I'm very excited to see what Drew Sanders does in Tuscaloosa.
At 6'5", 230 pounds, 6'5", 230, Drew Sanders got some guns on him. So looking forward to seeing him myself get on this field. But last one here on RN Justice, we got Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, on the phone lines right now. People definitely check him out. Hard at work on the recruiting trail. The best in the business is this young man, Justin Smith. Justin, Alabama got 9 of its 25 student athletes from this state, in-state kids from the state of Alabama. How huge was this for Nick Saban, and how happy should fans be that the program has gone back to really supporting and valuing the in-state talent?
I mean, it's important for obvious reasons, because those guys grew up watching Alabama football. Most of them are Alabama fans, and they grew up watching Alabama dominate. As some Alabama fans, the older Alabama fans, remember when Alabama was struggling. These kids don't remember that. I don't think they remember Nick Saban, Alabama dominating, winning national championships. Hey, they might not make it this year, but you knew they were coming back the next year. So those guys have that pride, and they really want to be part of the Alabama football program because of that. So I think it's huge that Alabama is getting back to landing more in-state guys. But I'm more excited, and I'm pretty sure Nick Saban and the rest of the Alabama coaching staff is excited as well for the future of the state of Alabama, because the state of Alabama is stacked in the 2021 recruiting class, and I think this is a trend that's going to continue to grow. I think the state of Alabama is becoming a recruiting hotbed slowly but surely, and I think it's something that all Alabama fans should pay attention to, because a lot of talent is coming out of the state of Alabama, and I think that 2021 recruiting class is really going to show what the state of Alabama has been able to produce over the last couple of years.
He's Justin Smith, ladies and gentlemen, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA. Justin, as always, appreciate you for taking time out to be on the show, and we look forward to having you again, man.
Thanks for having me, Stephen, at any time.
That was our own Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama magazine, talking a little National Signing Day. We're going to go to another break here on the show, but upon our return, I will dive into a topic of conversation. Was it a big loss for Alabama not landing McKinley Jackson? Was it a big loss on Pete Golding for not reeling the young man in here? We'll touch on that on the other side of the break. You're listening in my own words.
If you want delicious home-style cooking, sushi, and hibachi, check out Otoro Hibachi in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. At home and you can't get away from the TV because the Crimson Tide is about to score? Don't worry, delivery is also available through Waitr and Crimson2go. That's Otoro Hibachi in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And make sure you let them know the good folks at Touchdown Alabama sent you.
Subscribe right now for the best in Alabama football content. You can also download the Touchdown Alabama magazine app for your iPhone or Android. Also, if you're looking for the best in Crimson Tide news, notes, and information, subscribe to touchdownalabama.com.